On December 29, 2024, something terrible happened in the skies over South Korea. A Jeju Air flight 7C 2216 was coming back from Bangkok when it crashed while landing at Muan International Airport. The plane, with 181 people on board, slid off the runway, hit a wall and caught fire. Sadly, 179 passengers and crew members lost their lives. Only 2 people survived. As investigators try to figure out what caused the crash, one scary possibility is a bird strike. Some early reports suggest that a bird may have hit the plane during landing, which could have damaged the landing gear. This tragedy reminds us of the danger that bird strikes pose to airplanes. The investigation into the Jeju air crash is still going on, and everyone is waiting to find out if a bird strike played a role. What they discover will be very important for the aviation industry and how it can prevent bird strikes in the future. Bird strikes, which happen when a bird hits an airplane, are a sad reality of flying. These incidents, although they happen often, are a constant threat to airplanes all over the world. Bird strikes are most common during takeoff and landing when planes are closer to the ground and more likely to encounter birds. While most bird strikes only cause minor damage, there's always the potential for something much worse to happen. When a bird, especially a big one, hits a plane, it can cause serious damage to important parts of the aircraft, which could lead to a loss of control or system failures. The most dangerous scenario is when a bird gets sucked into a plane's engine. This can damage the engine or even cause it to stop working completely. The force of a bird strike depends on the bird's size and speed and where it hits the plane. Bird strikes can damage different parts of an airplane, but the most important parts are the engines and the windshield. If a bird hits the nose or wings, it might cause some damage, but it's usually not as serious. However, when a bird gets sucked into an engine, it can be disastrous. Modern jet engines are incredibly well designed, but they can still be damaged by bird strikes. Even a small bird can damage the delicate blades at the front of the engine. This damage can disrupt the airflow, causing the engine to lose power and potentially fail. If a plane has 2 engines and one fails, it's a serious situation. But pilots are trained to handle it. They can usually land the plane safely with only one working engine. However, if birds get sucked into both engines, it's extremely dangerous and leaves pilots with very few options. In 2009, US Airways Flight 1549 showed us just how dangerous bird strikes can be. The Airbus A320 had just taken off from LaGuardia Airport in New York City when it hit a flock of geese. Both engines immediately lost power. The pilot, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, and his co-pilot, Jeffrey Skiles, were faced with a terrifying situation. But they stayed calm and acted quickly. They knew they couldn't make it to an airport, so they decided to land the plane in the Hudson River. Amazingly, they landed the plane safely and everyone on board survived. This event, known as the Miracle on the Hudson, showed how dangerous bird strikes can be, but it also showed how important good pilot training is and how well-designed modern airplanes are. The size of the bird isn't the only thing that matters in a bird strike. The size and weight of the plane itself are also important. Smaller planes, which fly slower and are lighter, are more vulnerable to bird strikes. A bird strike that might only cause minor damage to a large passenger plane could potentially cause a small plane to crash. Modern airplanes are designed to reduce the risks of bird strikes. Windshields are made from strong, clear materials that can withstand bird impacts. Engines have protective coverings to deflect birds or minimize damage. Despite these improvements, bird strikes are still a concern for the aviation industry, especially for smaller planes. Birds are always present at airports, which is a challenge for airport authorities and aviation safety experts. Birds are attracted to airports for many reasons, like open fields, water sources, and even landfills. These things can attract lots of birds, increasing the risk of bird strikes. To prevent this, airports use various methods to manage birds. They might remove trees and shrubs where birds like to roost, and they eliminate standing water that attracts birds. Some airports use more active methods to scare birds away, like fireworks, lasers, and trained falcons. These methods have varying levels of success, so airports often use a combination of strategies to manage bird populations. The aviation industry is always looking for new ways to make flying safer and reduce the risks of bird strikes. One new technology is high-speed bird ingestion testing for aircraft engines. In these tests, frozen chickens are fired at high speed into running jet engines to simulate a real bird strike. These tests ensure that engines can withstand a bird strike without failing. In addition to new technology, rules and regulations also play a vital role in reducing bird strikes. Aviation authorities around the world have strict rules about managing wildlife at and around airports. These rules often require airports to have plans to minimize the number of birds in areas where they could endanger airplanes. The continuous efforts to understand, predict, and reduce the risks of bird strikes show how committed the aviation industry is to safety. As technology improves and we learn more about bird behavior, we can expect to see even more innovative solutions to make our skies safer.